Welcome everybody. My name is Jeff Smith. Today's topic is not my favorite features, but I am reusing the slide deck. I wanted to try to do this in about 15 or 20 minutes. We'll see how successful this is. It's kind of a subset of my favorite features. These are some features that can help you prevent making mistakes in your designs. So let's get into it. That's my contact information with my email and my Twitter handle. If you're on the Twitters, this is me. If you're curious what I look like, I'm not always standing behind a podium, but that's what I look like standing behind a podium. I'm using version 4.1 of Oracle SQL Developer Data Modeler in today's talk. I've got some screenshots, but I'll probably alt tab over to the application itself to show you some of this in real time. That was released in June, and then actually in May, sorry, and then we patched it 4.1.1 with some bug fixes 2 weeks ago. Most of what I'm showing, or actually I think all of what I'm showing, is also available in version 4.0. But if you have a version-specific question, feel free to send that over in the chat, or you can unmute your line and ask a question, but just be warned it'll show up in the recording. That's on YouTube. I'm running this on Windows 7, but you could easily run this on any desktop environment that supports Java. And I'm running the standalone copy of SQL Developer Data Modeler, but everything I'm showing you, you can also do inside of SQL Developer itself. This is a no additional cost solution. You're licensed via your OTN or database license. If your database is under support with my Oracle support, you can't open service requests against SQL Developer Data Modeler. For all intents and purposes, it's a free application. And if you've never seen the modeler before, this is not really an infographic, but it's kind of a picture of all the types of modeling we support. So logical designs, multidimensional modeling, data type designs, data flow diagrams, relational diagrams, data warehousing work. We also have a physical layer that we step into where you can define things like partitioning schemes and encryption and compression. There's an optional reporting repository that you can deploy into a database so you can run queries against your designs. You can import your designs from the database or from your Oracle Designer repositories, if you still have those laying around. And you can also import designs, or actually you can import data dictionary information from DDL scripts. Not going to show all of that today. I do have an overview talk that I've done before. It's probably recorded somewhere if you want to look for it. I'm just going to concentrate on 3 features, and I might sneak in a 4th one if you're not paying attention. First one is search. So I call this my most favorite feature just because of how powerful it is. There's so much information in your designs. People kind of concentrate on the diagrams themselves, but if you drill into an entity or to a table or even to a relationship, there's so much information there, and oftentimes you might have trouble figuring out where you've set something, or maybe you have questions about columns that you've marked as personally identifiable or have secure information in there. You know, you can quickly answer these types of questions with the search feature. The search feature has been in the tool for a long time, but the version of the search I'm showing you first made its appearance in 3.3 of the tool, and we've tweaked it a little bit since then, but I'm showing it to you in version 4.1. So let me just show you, and actually it's not just search, it can also be search and replace. Okay. So if you haven't done a search before, once you're in a design, you can launch the search a couple of different ways. You have the binoculars button up top, which will launch the search. And you can also do Control F. Might even be able to do View Search. I don't know if that's in there or not. Yeah, Model Search, which is mapped to Control F. And once you do that, you'll get the search panel. And we have two types of search. We have simple mode, which I'll show you after I show you the advanced mode. In simple mode, you can just type any sort of string or regular expression, and it'll just search everything in the metadata or in the design properties and spit out what it finds. The advanced search allows you to search specific areas of the designs and do multiple levels of search conditions. So what I'm doing here is I've set up a bunch of columns as type number with precision of 6, and I need to replace all of those in my design with the different type of precision. So to do that, I hit Control F, I toggle to advanced mode, and I set the search type. So you can search all kinds of different things in here. I'm searching on the property of a column. Now I have two designs open. Actually, I have two relational designs open, and then I also have multiple physical designs open. So where it says column HR only and then column Oracle Database 12c, that first one is the relational metadata, and the second one would be the physical version of the model. So I'm searching the relational, basically what I see up here. And the first time you come in here, you will not see this stuff right here. You have to actually click on Add Property. And once you click on Add Property, you'll get one of these sets of inputs. And here you can search, or you can select what we're searching on. So I'm searching on data type name for number, but I could find all kinds of things. Like here's an interesting one. Contains PII, so that's personally identifiable information. I think that's a federal law type terminology thing there, where that's coming from. So that would allow me to find any column in the database that I've marked as sensitive. Although I think PII is one step higher than sensitive, but any sort of column that has information that I would need to redact or prevent end users from seeing. But I'm selecting data type name. I can do not searches, which are cool. So I could also say, show me every column in here that doesn't have a data type of type number. I can toggle on regular expressions and search that way. By default, we do OR searches, but I want to find columns that are type number and have precision of 6. So I hit the add property again, added this level of information and said 6. And then I click the search button. And here are my results. So these are the columns in the model that are of column type integer and precision 6. And I could actually double click on one of these to get to the properties on the column. I could change it here if I wanted to, but that's not fun. I want to do kind of a more global search and replace. These are the metadata type hits in the search, but there are also elements in the diagrams that hit that as well. So I've got subviews and different displays where that information is stored. So if I double clicked here, that would take me to my columns and comments display that had the object that had the column of type integer and size 6. I could generate a report from here. So if someone asked me for a list of objects of, properties X, Y, and Z, that's nice. But I want to hit the properties button instead. And now what I can do is all kinds of fun things. I'm going to say replace all occurrences of data type precision 6 with data type precision 8. And hit apply. And if I do this search again, it didn't find anything. So if I do a search 8, it found those same columns again. So the ways you can use the search are countless. I'll show you simple mode really quick. So I can search on date and hit enter. It's a very fast search, by the way. We're going against the metadata, so all of the data stored locally in a file, we're not hitting the database. It's way faster than searching the database for this stuff. And you can see all of the different things that we found. Where it says stop on first, that just says don't find the same thing more than once. So you could find the string date in a column multiple times, like in the name and the type and the comments. It's not going to find it more than one time unless you tell it to. Okay, so that, and then we also it'll actually remember previous searches that you've done, and you can create search profiles and here in the search. But I think for most people, the simple search is the fastest. But if you want more control over what you find, and you want to be able to do the kind of global replace or the reporting, you need to use the advanced mode of the search. Okay, so here's just a screenshot of what I just showed you in case for some reason my application wasn't working the way I wanted it to. I like to cheat. This is a very simple feature in the tool, but it can save you a lot of time, and it can also help you maybe with mistakes. Same thing with domains, which I won't cover, but I'll talk about just very quickly. So I'm going to come in here and create a new column on an object. And by default, when you come in here and look at your, actually I'm going to talk a couple of options here. By default, when you get to the logical data types, we're showing you everything that we think you might be interested in. And for most of you, you're only going to use a subset of these 90% of the time. You'll also notice when I came in here, it defaulted to domain data types, and I'm switching to logical. So what I'm going to do is take a second to go into preferences. See if I can remember where this is. Here we go. Yep. So on the model page, I've already told it I want my default model type to be 12C. You could change that to 11 if you wanted, or even to 10, I suppose. Right here is where I'm talking about preferred logical types. So here you can just select the data types that you want to encourage yourself to use, and to also save you time from all that scrolling. I could add another one in here, so I could add, I don't know, interval, or I could add, let's add a different timestamp with time zone. The other thing I can do is set the data type default to logical, so I'm not always doing that toggle. If I have domains, then I would probably want domain to be the default, but I haven't set up domains yet, so I'm going to say logical, and I'm going to say OK, and then let's add those columns again. So I'm starting out on logical. I still have all of them, but I'm going to say preferred, and now I'm just seeing those ones that I've set up in advance. If you're adding 10 or 12 columns at a time, that's just going to save you a lot of scrolling, a lot of eyeball scanning on the screen for what you want, and maybe save you from a mistake if you accidentally click into timestamp instead of timestamp with time zone, which you always want. If you're curious about domains, that just allows you, for example, if you're creating a column of type, oh, I don't know. You got zip code. A lot of people will be tempted to come in here and store that as an integer, which works fine until someone comes in with a zip code of 025123 or whatever. You know, so once that's stored in the database, you lose the leading 0, which is a big problem. Same thing with phone numbers. You know, they'll start. Some phone numbers can start with zeros. So to make that easier for people to enforce, you can create domains. So you can actually create a domain called zip code and store that as, you know, varchar to 15 if you wanted to include the postal code and the hyphen and all of that stuff. And when it shows up in the data model itself, it'll show up as type zip code, but when you drill into the properties and generate the DDL, it'll spit out as varchar 215. Anything else on this page? I don't think so. You can do the same thing with the logical data types. I just showed you how to do that with the relational designs. I'm at minute 20, and I'm almost done, so I'm right on target. This is a feature I think everyone knows about, but I'm just going to very quickly show it again, just in case we don't miss anything. I know a lot of people, this is how they'll test their design. If they've set it up correctly, it should spit out the actual actionable database code. So if they see something here that's not quite right, they know they've made a mistake in their design, and they'll go in and fix it. So to get to the DDL preview, you don't have to generate it for the entire model. You can just right-click on an object and say DDL preview. So trick number 1, as you click on different objects in the design, the DDL preview automatically updates to show the code. Trick number 2. Let's see if I've got one in here. Yep, so this is showing indexes and redaction schemes. It's showing that information because I think I also opened the physical model. So things like storage properties and indexes and redaction schemes and compression information, that's stored down here. If you haven't opened the physical model when you go to do the DDL preview, it'll just generate the DDL out of what's stored in the relational model. So you can use that trick to control in a way how the DDL preview operates. If you click this button, it'll actually generate the DDL for everything in the design, and you can come in here and very explicitly say exactly how you want things to be generated. So you could say, you know, don't generate the partitions if you wanted to. I think that's an option somewhere. Okay. Okay, so last topic. I'm not going to demo this whole workflow. I'm just going to talk about it. So what you're supposed to do, I'm not a design person, but I've been around design people in the process and have sold design tools for a long time. But generally when you build a new system, a new application, a new database, whatever, you interview the business users and whoever's going to be using your application, and you try to identify the entities. So, you know, there's going to be this thing called an employee, and it's going to have this information in it. So once you've taken your notes and you come back to your machine and you fill out the information, you might say, hey, I'm done. Probably that needs to be a more iterative process where you take what you've done and you share it with the people you just interviewed to make sure you got it right. Maybe it sounded good to them the first time they told you about it, but now that they see it on paper, they're like, oh, yeah, we completely forgot you need this, this, and this too. And this is also a good example of why you want to use notes or comments in your designs, so to explain what it is you're going to be doing with this stuff. So to cut to the chase, when you go to share this information back to your end users, you don't have to stand them up with the design tool. You don't have to give them data modeler. You don't have to email them the designs, or you don't have to get them set up in your Subversion repository so they can see this stuff. What you can do instead is run a report that contains the information you want to share and export that to Excel. Everybody gets Excel. It generates a very clean and easy to understand little table of stuff. The business user can see this data and be like, oh, whoa, 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 why don't I have a column here for this? And this data type's wrong. And according to the comments, you completely misunderstood what I was going for. What they can actually do is mark up this Excel sheet, send it back to you, and you can right-click on your design and say, okay, I'm now going to take their notes from Excel and I'm going to put it back into the design to see, you know, where we need to go back to the drawing board on. I've never used this feature because I don't get to build stuff from scratch, but I've talked about it a lot, and Oracle ACE Director Kent Graziano has used this in the real world, and he says it works great. His clients love it. It really gives them more ownership in the project, or at least they feel like they have more ownership in the project, or empowers them to do more. So it's a nice feature. I encourage you to look at that. If you got questions, feel free to let me know. Let's see if you got any questions on chat. I don't see any questions on chat. Let's see, one last thing, back to the PowerPoint. We have our forums on the Oracle Technology Network, and we have video demonstrations, and I've blogged and written lots and lots of papers and recorded lots and lots of videos. This slide deck is actually on SlideShare. I don't know if you're a SlideShare person, but if you are, you can just actually search for Jeff Smith or SQL Developer, and you should find these. And I have blog posts that go into real detail on all of these topics, so you can see what other things I didn't talk about today. And let your friends know, even though they missed the talk today, that we have all of these recordings up on YouTube, and we've created a YouTube channel, and we have a YouTube playlist. For those of you actually watching on this on YouTube, you can hit stop now because I'm just talking about the video that you're watching. This is the community space for SQL Developer Data Modelers, right next to this in the same database application development scheme. So if you have general questions, you can post those here. And I thought I had a link here to our, I've got it here. This is my blog, and this is my data modeling resource page where I have lots of help me get started type posts. And here's a link. I love it when a browser slows down. A lot of people know how to get into this webcast. Obviously, you guys know how to get here because you're here. But if you scroll down, here are the previous sessions. And we have like, I think 15 chapters. So tell your coworkers and buddies where they can come find this recording if they want to take part.